The Amazing Hour with Joanne O'Brien and Sabrina Johnson.
There's a power here within me. There's a strength that's deep inside. If I'm willing to be willing, the field is open wide. And I know I have the courage, so I push my fears aside and allow these words of truth be heard from every mountain high. I am amazing, I am amazing. There's nothing I can't do. I am amazing, I am amazing. And you're amazing too. We share a vision, we share a dream. Are you ready? Slow and steady. We are making history. 'Cause we are amazing.
Cheers. Wow. Welcome, everyone, to our 11th episode of The Amazing Hour, where we celebrate everyday superstars. We are live at Sunset Gower Studios on the UBN Radio Network in the heart of Hollywood. And we are delighted that you are here to spend the next 50 minutes with us, celebrating the superstar in everyone. I'm Joanne O'Brien, and
I'm Sabrina Johnson.
we're just so excited to have you here with us. So, Sabrina, we always talk about what? An amazing highlight.
An amazing highlight, but before we start, we should do a little announcement.
Oh, well, you know what? We'll get to
you'll
that
get there?
announcement.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
we'll get to that
Okay,
announcement. Okay.
So the amazing highlight, first of all, notice our coffee mugs.
Yes, notice we're really stepping it up here
Yes.
at the Amazing Hour.
And the back of it says, "Sing it. I am amazing."
I am amazing. So we hope that you're all going to sing that.
Yes. And one day you might even get one as a giveaway. We don't know.
We don't know about that yet, so
So,
we need a
anyways,
sponsor for that. So if you want to
yes.
sponsor the show, we'll give you free mugs.
Yes.
There you
might
go.
even get a free refrigerator magnet. Okay.
So tell me, so it's our amazing.
highlight. So you know what? I always have. To me, just every moment can be amazing. That's the whole thing, and I really know that about everyone can see that. And so I was thinking, what's my amazing highlight this week? And I did go to a pool party where the dogs were the swimmers.
Oh, I love that.
So that was fun. That was absolutely fun, amazing. But this morning on the way to work, I usually listen to Audible books because I like my Audible books and Audible books, and I love them. Like Sissy Spacek reading "To Kill a Mockingbird."
Ooh, can I borrow that?
Yeah, well,
It's one of my favorite books. I
yeah,
love that book.
You can listen to it and you hear them, and it's a performance. So this morning I was finished and I was kind of channel flipping, and all I heard on NPR News was this guy who had a real Southern drawl, older gentleman. And he said, "I don't think these people, when they pass on or die, I don't think they leave us." He goes, I just thought this was like, it gets to me. "See, the good things that they did, they melt into your likeness."
Oh.
And I thought that was so wonderful. So I had to listen and hear who that was. And it was Billy Joe Shaver. And he's a singer. And apparently on his website, he has Billy Joeisms because he's known for what
Billy
he says.
Joeisms. All right, so say that Billy Joeism again. What did he
It
say?
says he doesn't think that when people pass on, they just go away, that they're still with us. He says the good things they did melt into your likeness.
They melt into your likeness.
Isn't that
Wow.
wonderful?
Wow.
I
I
love
love
that.
that.
So
So
they melt into your likeness. I thought
Excellent.
That was like so beautiful.
I
And
think that's great.
so. That was an amazing highlight. And I'm, in traffic along beautiful Benedict Canyon Boulevard, and that's always an amazing drive because sometimes Eddie Murphy's house is on there. Sometimes he dresses up his 3 reindeers that are outside, and sometimes they're just buck naked. But when they're dressed up, like recently, he had them dressed up for 4th of July, and then before that, he had them dressed up for the cookout.
I love that.
So,
well, good old Eddie Murphy. We can always count on him for
I
something
always
fun.
Thank him on Facebook.
Well, I have to share my amazing highlight this week. Well, I had a couple of things, but then I came in.
Yes.
And Sabrina surprised me with gifts. So, like I said, we're stepping it up a notch here. We now have the Amazing Hour mugs. And so we're delighted to have amazing. Yay. Wait, it gets better.
Yay, Kurt.
gifts. All right, Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt.
We got Amazing Hour magnets because we know that you want to have Amazing Hour magnets on your car, on your refrigerator. So, and then I got an Amazing Hour tote. Can you see that? The Amazing Hour tote. So
That's to tell all the giveaways.
So that was one of my super highlights. And then my other highlight that I'm excited about is my amazing song is going to be available on August 18th.
Yay.
So it might
Monday.
be available. It's Monday, August 18th. And I'm going to admit to you that the reason it's Monday, August 18th is because my astrologer said that was the best day to do it.
I
And
love
you know
it.
that we can't make a decision without consulting our astrologers.
At what time?
So between 5:30 a.m. and 6. That's Pacific time.
Oh, I thought
Just
it
want to
was
make sure
PM.
I was very clear. No, a.m.
I thought it was
a.m. Yeah.
PM.
So
I
so
suggested a party. That would be a little bit early.
yeah. Well, all right. So we have some really cool stuff that we wanted to just talk about before we introduce our incredible guest that I'm so excited to introduce you to.
Yes.
But this is our 11th show. So we thought we would do a quick recap for anyone who this is time listening, or perhaps you're listening to this on YouTube and you want to go back and see some of the guests that we had. So so you want to talk about our first guest that we had?
Yeah, our first guest that we had was Peggy Sweeney McDonald, and she was just the best guest to start out with because life for her is a big Mardi Gras party.
It is. It's one big, huge, meanwhile back at Cafe Du Monde
Yes.
party.
And she has this wonderful Meanwhile Back at Cafe Du Monde book of food stories and recipes, and she shared with us how she got to the book and how she got to these really live presentations that she does at restaurants, at large venues where people tell their own food stories. And the question she always asks of each person that tells their food story is, if you were a food, what food would you be?
Oh, I remember that. And I'm the Hershey Kiss, and you are.
I was the egg.
You were an egg.
Yeah, it's hard inside, it's soft outside, and not really too hard, and it just has amazing potential. It could be
Well, I'm the
anything.
Hershey Kiss, and you just have to go watch the show to find out why I'm the Hershey Kiss.
Okay.
So then our next guest we had was Kelly Lester, mompreneur, extraordinarily brilliant singer, and she created something called Easy Lunch Boxes and became the #1 seller on Amazon.
Yes.
So
The singing CEO.
the singing CEO. So yeah, so check out Easy Lunch Boxes and Kelly Lester. And then we celebrated my birthday, which was June
Yes.
10th. I'm still accepting gift cards.
Yes.
And we had on Vedic astrologer and relationship coach Carol Allen.
She was amazing.
Carol is a delight, and couldn't have been a more wonderful way to spend the birthday. We had vegan cupcakes, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
And then we had on Eddie Connor.
Oh, Eddie. Eddie
Yeah.
was amazing.
Eddie and his book, the Big Butt Syndrome. So that was, Eddie was so much fun.
And he did readings for us.
And he did readings for us. And
I have to share the reading. He said I'd get flowers from an older man with certain initials, and I did.
Oh,
So
I
he was
love
right. He
that.
was absolutely right.
he said to me that I was going to get a lot of gift cards over the next year for my birthday. So I'm just going to hint. You all know where the station
Watch the
is.
show to make sure that's true or not. Watch the show on YouTube.
And then we had on a Zen monk,
Yes.
Kusala Biksu,
Yes.
from right down here in Koreatown. And he was delightful, and he brought his ukulele and his harmonica, and we just had a grand old time. So check that one out. And then we had on, one of your favorite authors,
Oh, yeah, we had on Quay Quarty.
Quay Quarte.
Corte, and he knew I wouldn't say his name right, but he tried to coach me on it. And he writes this wonderful series of Detective Darko in Ghana, in the capital of Ghana and around that. And he is a medical doctor, and he actually really surprised both of us because we have a question that we ask each guest about what their theme song is, and he surprised us by singing a beautiful Edith Piaf.
He sang an Edith Piaf song on the show. So you got to
Beautiful.
watch that in order to hear
Yes.
Quay. And then we had on Sherry Hersey, who I just adore. She was one of the stars of Home Improvement,
Yes.
and doing really, really great work in the world. Smile TV is her TV network, and Lily's Light is her project and philanthropic organization. So
Check out Smile TV. It has so many good things.
SmileTV.com is a really incredible. And let's
Contagious
see.
Optimism.
Contagious Optimism, yes. She did a Contagious Optimism talk, sort of like a TED Talk.
Yes.
And then we had on somebody who I met at a TEDx boot camp, Jessica Blatter,
yes, yes.
co-founder of The Kind Traveler, a way for you to travel philanthropically and give back as you travel. That is going to launch in September. So I highly recommend checking out kindtraveler.com. And then you'll be the first to know.
And sign up. It's free.
And sign up. It's free. And you'll know when she launches that business, because it's pretty extraordinary. And she's got great vision and quite big things ahead of her. Then we had on Julie Furman. The matchmaker. She's the master of matchmaking, and she takes us from me to we. And we had a grand old time just dishing and talking men, talking women, talking love, talking relationships. And then our last guest was Hannah Dennison.
Yes.
Hannah and I have known each other for years. She is
Cozies. She's the Cozies. Actually, someone I knew this. I went to a party on Saturday, and I was telling them about it. They said, "Oh, she writes cozies."
Yes, cozy mysteries is something we had
Cozies.
never heard about. And so she's written a series called the Vicky Hill series. You can find her on Facebook, on Twitter. And she's got a new one out called Murder at Honey Church Hall.
It's really good. I'm starting.
Watch that show because her voice is like a lullaby.
Yes.
So that was our 10th show.
And
And drum roll, we're so excited because our 11th show is actually happening, because there was a chance it might not.
that was our big
Thank
announcement,
you
but it
to
didn't
the
have to happen.
101 traffic. Can I make this introduction?
Yes,
I know I'm
absolutely.
being an introduction hog today, and
know,
I
I love it.
apologize, but
love it.
so today we have such an incredible human being, and we wish we had 2 hours, because both of us have so many things we want to ask Patrick about. But we have Dr. of Divinity and urban shaman Patrick Harbula. Yay, you made it.
So great to be here.
We're so excited to have you, Patrick. We were a little worried because there was some traffic on the 101, and we thought this might not happen. And
You didn't sound worried at all. When
I know.
called you.
Actually, I'm just making that up. I was like, you know what? We have stuff to blab about, so it'll give us more time.
We
can
actually
we
walked
can
in the
always talk.
building, and they said, "Okay, the sign-in time is 7:00." So we're here right on.
You
time.
were here right on time. So good. So
And we
yay.
just went a
Thank
minute
you.
over in extra preparation.
We did. So
Yeah.
we're thrilled.
And also, we have to say he's the author of this wonderful book.
Oh, well, Patrick is the author. Well, we've got so many things to
Yes.
talk about, but we're going to talk about this book. And do you have it already up on the screen? The Magic of the Soul. I brought my own personal copy.
I did too.
And The Magic of the Soul, Applying Spiritual Power to Daily Living. And we're going to get to Magic of the Soul. But, gosh, so Patrick, here you are. We know a lot about your backstory and how you got to where you are. So, right now, what is something that just pops into your mind that you would love to share with our listening audience?
First thing that pops to mind is the secret to life. Here it is.
Da, 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 da.
Oh wait, I forgot. I lost my train.
I love it.
Is simply living right here and right now from a place of freedom and joy. And if people say to that, "Oh, but I got so many problems. I got all this crap happening in my life. How can I be in joy right now?" It's always an inside-out job. We think that our inner experience is dependent on what's happening in the world, and it really is completely reversed. When I start from a place of cultivating and embodying inner peace, joy, love, all of these transpersonal qualities, then my outer world cannot help reflect that. And even in those moments that it doesn't matter if I've got it inside.
Right.
Right?
It's an inside job, huh?
It
an
is an
inside
inside
job.
job.
So how do you cultivate that inside when you really don't feel it? How do you go there? Do you just pick it from the market and put it inside?
Well, as I was driving on the freeway and we were
I
looking
know.
at what it looked like, my wife and I, and it looked rather dire actually at the time. And I knew it'd all work out in the end, regardless whether we got here on time or a few minutes late or a lot late. But I started chanting. I started chanting a chant that I chant quite often, and it brought me into a place of peace. And
Are you okay to
Simple as
share
that.
what that chant is?
yeah, I was researching for a talk I was doing, and so I was researching quotes, and I found this Indian saint named Sri Anandamayi Devi Ma.
That sounds like a chant by itself.
That's the chant
Say
I
that
use.
after you've
I
had
use her
some
name in the
tequila.
chant.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
And I'm really convinced that she is the most enlightened human being that's ever walked the planet. She, by all accounts, she was aware from the moment she was born to the moment she went away, and amazing stories about her. So yeah, and I haven't seen, I've heard there's some YouTubes on her. I haven't seen them.
Say her name
But-
again.
Yeah.
Ananda, Sri Ananda, Mai Devi Ma.
And what do you mean by she was aware? Because people, when I say, oh, awake and aware, people really kind of think, well, yeah, I'm here. My eyes are open. I'm breathing. So what does that mean, awake or
Well,
aware?
I'll
you said?
say it this way. She was in a consistent state of bliss her entire life.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Did she ever have to do her own taxes?
No,
I'm just saying.
absolutely not. In fact, most of her youth into adulthood, she was in like a trance-like state.
Wow.
Just in bliss. And her parents were like concerned, what's wrong with this child? And then at some point, people started to realize this is an incarnation of divinity. And so I just find, and the interesting thing about her is, not only the stories, but you look at pictures of her, and in every single picture, she has this essence of radiance, of bliss all around her.
Do you know what she
And
sounds
all
like?
of her disciples, yeah.
She sounds like St. Teresa of Avila. That was always in that trance state.
One of the things I want to touch on that is that you had a tool and you used it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting how when we read so many books on self-improvement, personal development, self-help, spiritual growth, emotional growth, intellectual growth, how many times do we truly consistently apply what we read, or do we just read it and go, wow, that is so incredible, what a really great tool, next? Or how many times do we have 3 chapters of a book read? This is not my bedside table at all. And then you put it down, even though you were completely into it. So I love that you had a tool and you called upon it and it took care of you.
So that's one way.
Yeah.
I've got hundreds of practices. And, meditation is probably, I've been meditating for over 30 years. And I find that is just the most powerful. You set the intention during the day, how you want your day to be. You go into a state of peace, if not even deeper, into bliss, into pure oneness. And then it's not just about being in that state for the 10 or 20 minutes that you're meditating, but then, or in Ananda Mai Ma's state, or that state of bliss all day long. But it is to maintain or keep that vibration as high as you can during the day. Have that be the intention.
So would you say it's state of bliss? Because I know I meditate and I understand, but I don't call it bliss. I guess what I call it is just that peace that doesn't go beyond, that can't be expressed in words.
Yeah.
Is that like what you call bliss? Because I just
Sure.
call it like, I can't even express it, but sometimes I'll just
Exactly.
be meditating, and sometimes just such an overwhelming feeling of joy, peace,
Yeah.
that I'll just be crying.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yes.
so
I get
it's
that
like-
too.
So I get that, and
I
it's
don't
just,
talk to that many people that get that. That's
yeah,
very
and I
interesting.
don't.
I get
usually-
it.
I don't
get
usually
it.
share
I
it.
get it all the time.
You get it.
I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want
And
to.
I usually don't share it except on internet, wide web radio. Then I share it. But anyways, that's
Yeah.
what I don't call it bliss, but I call it just I just say it's like a peace that goes beyond any
Yeah.
understanding of words.
Yeah, these are all synonyms, all
Synonyms.
words that we can use for an experience that cannot be expressed in words.
And I just have to say one thing is what happens is when that happens, it really does flow over into every part of the day, because what I find is that I can see all the stuff out here and I can really witness it, but I don't have to jump into it. And that for me is the real payoff on that. And I think that's what you're talking about, the inside job. Is that what you mean by that? Like you're able to just kind of know that it's what you're in here and
Yeah.
not jump out in here. And
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that may be, a jump in practice. I'll tell you another practice that's really powerful that I give virtually all of my coaching clients. And, I'm sure most of your listeners and viewers are people who understand the law of attraction.
Sure.
And, that we create our own reality based on our consciousness. This comes from the Hicks material, Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Love them.
And basically, one of the things they emphasize is to use our emotions as a biofeedback device for where our consciousness is. So if I'm feeling discomfort, it means I'm focused on what I don't want, right?
This is so good.
It's so simple, right? And so I can use that as a cue then to recognize, okay, I feel discomfort, means I'm focused on what I don't want, and ask the question, therefore, what do I want? And then simply shift my attention to that.
That's great.
And now what I've added to this is a little measurement device to help make it even more consistent. So every night before you go to bed, this takes about 30, 40 seconds to do. You just write down a number in a journal, and the number represents what percentage of the time today was I focused on what I want compared to what I don't want.
Wow.
And it can be,
that's so good.
So simple, it's so powerful.
yeah, and it can be in terms of general thinking, but even more importantly, what are the specific areas that are challenging me in my life right now? Okay, so let's say it's relationship, or let's say it's finance. So in the area of finance, what percentage of the time have I focused on what I want? And so what I'll do with someone is then I'll actually ask them to, on an average day, recently, what percentage of the time, when let's say it's finance that someone's struggling with, what percentage of the time, I just had a client today, and it was like her life vision, right? So we went over the life vision. I said, okay, what percentage of the time are you focusing on that compared to it's not happening yet, right?
Right.
And it was 10%. Which is not that surprising, because when things challenge us, we tend to focus on the negative.
Right.
Because it's a problem in front of us, right? And the problem is we can't come up with a solution from the energy of the problem. So then I ask, okay, what will it be like when you shift that to, say, 60, 70% of the time focus on what you want? And intuitively, every single person, I don't care if they've been on a spiritual path for 30 years or for 30 days, will intuitively get, or never, will intuitively get, of course, everyone's always on a spiritual path. They don't just know, aren't aware of it necessarily. But intuitively they get, oh, everything will be different. So intuitively we know this. And the cool thing, by writing it down, people will get results if they don't write it down, but it will be much more dramatic and much faster if they do, because what happens is once you see the evidence that, oh, consistently now I've been above 50% focused on what I want, then it triggers the subconscious mind to get, now I am ready to receive it. Because intuitively know. It's that's how the law of attraction works. And once the subconscious mind gets it, it's a done deal. And so what I find is over and over, when people get above 50%, focused on what they want tends to find them. It's a simple equation.
We should do a fun Patrick Harbula focus group where you put us in a room and we all do this and videotape everyone what we want and then come back and visit and then see where we are in 90 days.
It's amazing. I see it over and over with my clients, especially the ones that will write it down and the ones that don't as well, just not always as quick or as dramatic. And I've seen people go from 0%, like in relationship. A client of mine was like, she didn't think it was even possible that she could even go on a date, let alone have a relationship at one point.
You're not talking to us or me.
She started doing this process. She started doing this process, and it was very gradual over several months. It went from 0% to maybe 5% to then 15% to 30%, somewhere around 30%. She felt confident enough to do an online profile on a dating site. Right around 40, 45%, she was going on dates like crazy, and having a great. She didn't even think she had time to date at the time. Now she's going like 3-4 dates.
Stop it, Sabrina.
3 or 4 dates a week, and she's thinking, gosh, I'm just dating too much, but she was having a great time.
Where's a pen? I have time to date.
And then at some point, she decided, this dating's been fun, but now I'm ready to be in a relationship. She's above 50% by now. And the next call that we had, she said, funny thing happened. I was talking to my girlfriends, and she told me about this one guy she was seeing a lot, but it wasn't exclusive yet. And she said, I was talking to my girlfriends about this guy, and they said, you think you're not in a relationship, but you are in a relationship. And she had to admit she was. And they've been going steady for a long time. And
I love
having a
that.
great time.
Yeah. So when she checked in with you, was she able to really see that progress, or
yeah.
did you help shed some light on that?
Let me think back to that. Yeah, she absolutely saw it. Again, because she's writing down the numbers,
Okay.
and she knows where her consciousness is. If people don't write them down, I'll ask them, so, what percentage have you been? And they'll think, oh, I don't know, maybe 40, maybe 50, right? But if somebody knows, I've been at 60, 70% consistently for the last month, again, we know intuitively it's a done deal.
So I want to backtrack for a moment
Let me
because
say-
I
can I
really
say one more
sure,
thing about that?
Sure.
Just that when we are above 50% with our consciousness focused on what we want, we see opportunities and possibilities that we cannot see at 40%, 30%, 20%.
That's important.
It's really important. So what I want to backtrack, because I really want our listeners to kind of get like a scope of this without really going into all of your early stuff, because
Okay.
a lot of that's in the book.
So we're not going to read the whole book?
No,
today?
we're not going to read the whole book. It's so good. I've got so many things highlighted in here. So, but there was probably a time where you could not imagine the abundant, incredible, rewarding life that you have right now. Am I
Okay.
correct?
I'd have to go way back for that. I mean, I could imagine it.
But you were
probably
sick at
had
one
some,
time.
I had
You-
some doubts.
You had you had gone through some serious
Yeah.
rock bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And so for people who are rock bottom, because there's a lot of people out there, I've got a lot of friends that they're just hitting rock bottom. And today a friend of mine went to her job and they had closed the doors. 65 people completely out of work, and was really not prepared, and not her fault. That's not. And I know that people beat themselves up. And so when someone's in that place of crisis, because who knows who could be listening right now that really needs to hear it, when you're in that place of crisis and you truly don't see, a patch of blue,
Yeah.
what would you offer them?
Well, I'll just tell you my story. So,
Okay, great.
How the magic of the soul became the book that it became. So I began writing this book about the magic of the soul, how to create what you want, how to manifest what you want in your life. And I felt I was pretty darn good at manifestation. I'd been meditating and visualizing since I was 18 years old. I was in my 40s when I started writing the book, my early 40s. And so a funny thing happened on the way to the magic of the soul. And by the way, I had manifested a corporate job with a 6-figure income and had a wonderful marriage of 13 years. Was healthy. I was an athlete. I was a tennis pro in my 20s. And so a funny thing happened on the way to the magic of the soul. Everything fell apart. I became chronically ill. My marriage of 13 years ended. My corporate job went away. I no longer had the strength and the vitality to kind of influence people in positive ways. There were times when I couldn't get out of bed for a couple weeks at a time. It's like everything that I was identified with on a personal level, on an egoic level, was like stripped away. And so, and by the way, at this time, my father died of cancer that wasn't diagnosed for several years. This went on for 3 years without any diagnosis. I went to, I did the alternative route. I was, doing spiritual mind treatment and meditation and visualization and affirmation and energy healing and throwing lightning bolts out, and nothing was like changing the condition. I went the traditional route, went to Mayo Clinic. They found nothing. So after 3 years, and I'm continuing to get worse and worse. And by the way, all along, I'm resisting the symptoms. I'm resisting, like, how could this happen to me?
Right.
Someone who is, been meditating and visualizing and healthy all my life. And so I got to a place where the writing on the wall seemed to be this: I may be approaching the end of this journey. And so I said to myself, you know what? If I am to die from this, I am going to use this experience to understand who I am as a sacred being at the deepest level possible. And guess what happened when I made that decision? I started to heal. But it wasn't like a direct road to healing. What would happen is I'd start to feel a little better as a result of surrendering. And then I would do something that I used to be able to do, like take a walk, and then that would put me back in bed. Symptoms would come back. I would again resist them because it felt so good to just feel a little bit better. I'd resist them, and then I'd remember finally, oh yeah, it was that surrendering thing that got me feeling better again. So I would surrender, and this went kind of in a cyclic fashion. It was as though my soul were guiding me in the most direct way possible to learn what it's like to be in a consistent or very close to a consistent state of surrender. So I just ask all of your listeners and viewers, what would it be like to be in a consistent state of surrender? As I say in the book, why do I often wait until the absolute crescendo of struggle to surrender? Why not surrender at the first sign of struggle?
These are really good nuggets. I can't wait to go back and listen and write a lot of this down.
And when you're talking about surrender, it just kind of like reverberated in me that it's like surrender really is going back to that inside job thing where everything out here is pretty much the same, but you're simply aligned to it and saying, okay, this isn't who I am, and you're going inside and just simply relaxing with it and relaxing with yourself.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of that inside job that you were talking about.
And the thing we tend to think, and what we've been taught and what our culture is all about, is that anything of value has to be struggle, it has to take a lot of work, has to be difficult. And the truth is the opposite. That the most powerful thing we can do is nothing, is just let go and turn it over. Right.
And now, okay, so I want to be clear for the person who hears nothing. It doesn't mean don't take any action steps in your life. It doesn't mean sit on the couch and hope that the UPS man's going to bring you your life's calling.
Well, all I can say is for people, I just have to say, doing nothing, just try sitting still.
Yeah.
There you go.
Focusing on the breath for 5 minutes and see if you can really do that. It's like, when I had a client who was a physical trainer, and I was teaching her meditation, mindfulness meditation. She said, I thought this was for sissies. Sitting still, I'm a workout. And she tried sitting still for 5 minutes, and she thought it was like much harder than that 2 hours in the gym for her.
Right.
And now, she does, like 20 or 40 minutes, but it took a while.
Yeah, I say in the book, why is it the difficult thing for a human to do is nothing? And I don't mean devoid of action, but I mean,
right.
And the thing is, when I get to a place of peace, then the action that I choose to take will be much more creative and much more effective than if I'm approaching it from, I've got to do this something, to make a change here.
I think it makes us flexible so we can be spontaneous in the moment, which means that we can meet that opportunity when it presents itself without having to be so anxious, and we can be prepared in a way that is totally new to us. And that's what I find.
Which requires trust, doesn't it?
It does. It does, yeah.
It's a beautiful word, trust.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
So what happened then is as a result of what happened to me in this illness, the message of the book became altered. Okay, it wasn't just about, yes, it's magical to create what we want in our life. What's even more important and more magical is to accept and appreciate what we have. And not only the things that obviously bring us joy, but even more importantly, the things that challenge us, right? And so that's where I developed the term radical gratitude, right? It's regular old gratitude is being grateful for what is obviously, brings us fulfillment. Radical gratitude is being grateful for the things that challenge us. And I think that is the most cutting edge message, and I think all of our most revered and popular spiritual writers of today are saying the same thing in different ways. Byron Katie says, love everything. Eckhart Tolle says, give up resistance to what is. August Gold says, invite everything. Robert Scheinfeld in Busting Loose from the Money Game says, appreciate everything. I say, look for the magic in everything. And now it's even evolved for me to see the beauty in everything. And so that can sound really challenging. at first glance. But again, because it's an inside-out job, it becomes easier and easier with practice. And what has happened as a side product, or what it's evolved into for me after having practiced this for over a decade now, is that there's relatively no fear, because I was diagnosed a few years ago with prostate cancer. And so when I got off the phone with a doctor, and by the way, I was like not 99.9% sure. I was 100% sure when I went up for a biopsy that there was no cancer in my body. The results told me otherwise, and I had this instant shock. But by the time I hung up the phone, I did not know how, but I did know that something good would come from this.
Yes.
And it did. And that's the thing. I can look for the magic in a situation. I can see what's beautiful in it, or look for what's beautiful in it. If I don't see it, that's okay. The important thing is not getting the answer of what is the magic in this situation, or the opportunity for growth, or the opportunity for sacredness to evolve from this. But it's by asking the question, I'm changing my relationship to the situation. Rather than being a victim of the situation, I am now utilizing and accessing it to empower myself.
And by doing that, you're really empowering others, because,
Sure.
it can't help but affect others. That when you're relaxed and accepting the situation, it really feels, and that radical gratitude spills out and affects others.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then you get
Can't
to
help
focus
it.
on what's really important and not be distracted by all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else is a distraction
Yeah.
to
So,
Go ahead.
yeah. So, but when talking about magic of the soul, one thing that I really love about this is you have some very concrete exercises in
Yes.
here. And you can see I tagged it and highlighted it and studied it. And I love that you did that. And what would you say to somebody? I mean, because it's about doing nothing, but you have these great exercises. So what would you say to somebody if they get this and they read it and they go, okay, so I'm supposed to do this meditation on symbols. And I tried that. That was the first one. And I tried that meditation on symbols, and it was quite challenging. And I went, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. What would you say to somebody if they buy this and they just feel so overwhelmed of getting to, a place of really being able to take this in? Where would they start?
Well, there's a guided, there's a CD that comes with a book that's the guided 12 of the 24 exercises, and all of the other ones are on my website, by the way.
Okay.
Audio files that can be downloaded. But one of the most important things, and I'm glad we're coming to this, when we're on a spiritual path, and I've had people say to me that, I actually judge myself more now that I'm on a spiritual path than when I was clueless, right?
Right.
Because what happens is once I'm on a spiritual path, I now have an ideal that I am moving toward, right? And the problem there is I tend to compare myself to that ideal, and therefore, and can often even criticize myself because I'm not there yet, right? And so I think as important, even more important than moving toward this ideal that we have set for ourselves, is to accept ourselves and love ourselves exactly where we are in each and every moment of the path. And we always are in our perfect place on the path. And so for people, this is what I find in coaching, even people who have been in spiritual studies for a long time, I find it even kind of surprising that they can have so many advanced techniques that they're practicing and really not really have a high degree of self-love happening.
Yes.
And so one of my consistent affirmations I give to people is I love myself no matter what. Because the true test of self-love, just like the true test of prosperity, is not feeling prosperous when there's a lot of money in the bank. The true test of prosperity is when I feel prosperous when it looks like there's no money in the bank. The true test of self-love is not when I love myself when cool things are happening. I just got a new job, or I just met a new chick or a new guy, right? But when I just blew a relationship, or I just made a mistake that cost me a few tens of thousands of dollars, if I can love myself in those moments, that's the true test of self-love. So I love myself no matter what.
So, thank you. You know what?
I know we're getting close.
Thank
Well,
you.
we're not done yet, but it's really important to to give our listeners an opportunity to call in to win. And so, okay, so Kurt is so on
prepared.
top of it.
He's so prepared.
So grab a pen, listeners, or pull over if you're. I don't think you can listen while you're driving. Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, take this number down: 323-843-2826. That's 323-843-2826. And Patrick is going to provide us with a question. You have to call in and get it right. And if you get it wrong, we might consider giving you something anyway, because we seem to do that fairly often. But you're going to get a copy of The Magic of the Soul. And I think that's probably up on the screen, but this is my copy. And so Patrick, what's your question?
Okay. How about the definition of radical gratitude?
Ooh,
very
good one. All right, people. Who is listening? Do we have anyone in the chat room tonight? Okay, good.
Very cool.
We've got a busy chat room, so that's wonderful. All right, so great.
So we have a question, but before that, one of my favorite quotes when I heard you speak, when you talked about self-love, is you said, and I got this in my meditation this morning like this, you said that we are love unfolding love. And I just love that. I love that, love unfolding love. So anyways, I just had to say that.
That came to me when I was, my wife and I were at the Sai Baba ashram for a little bit of time. And, the ashram in India, and he's no longer with us. He passed a few years ago. But and when you say an ashram, you think of maybe, a small group of people in this little place. And at this ashram, there would be anywhere from 40 to 80,000 people on a given day.
Wow.
And I've never been in a group of even 100 people that had as clear and united an intention, which was, to be in the presence of Sai Baba and to focus on his teachings, which was all about universal love. People just walk around all day long just saying Sai Ram, which is the same as Namaste, or I see the God in you.
How do you say it?
We have
Sai Ram.
we've got someone who's on the line. Yay!
Okay.
Who's calling in?
I know it.
Who is this?
This is Linda Rose.
Hi, Linda Rose,
Rose. Oh,
peaceful
great,
one.
great,
Okay, so
great.
Linda's got the answer. Go ahead, Linda.
Radical gratitude is being grateful for the things that challenge us.
You got it.
Yeah.
Word for word.
Oh, our studio audience is so excited for
Yay.
you. So we're going to bring you a copy of Magic of the Soul. We're so excited, Linda.
Very cool. Very
Yay.
cool.
So we'll see you this week, because I know you live here in Los Angeles, and we'll make sure we get that gift to you. And did you happen to have, Linda, did you have a question for Patrick? Anything you wanted to ask him while we have you on the line? And if not,
Yes, because I
bring it on.
never found out what the chant was.
Oh,
okay, good.
Here we go. Om Ananda Mai, Om Guru, Om Ananda Mai, Om Guru. And then I changed different names of God. Om Ananda
Nice.
Mai,
I like
Om
it.
Brahma, Om Ananda Mai, Om Brahma. Isn't that a beautiful tune?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Nam, nam, mi, om, nam, nam.
Close enough.
Close enough.
I love
I'll
that.
have to look it up. I love it.
I love it when
Thank
people come on the
you.
show. All right, bye, Linda Rose.
Bye, Linda. Congrats.
Great
Thank
question.
you for
Great-
calling in.
great question.
Yay.
So is
Thanks.
that like, so we do have our little song. We have a little question about
Oh, we love to
song,
ask
yes.
this question. It's our favorite question. You
So,
get to ask.
and you might have answered it. I don't know. But anyways, if every time you walked into a room, a theme song played, what would that be? You might have answered it, but I'm not sure.
I think it would have to be that one today.
Okay.
Because I've been singing that for quite a few weeks now.
Okay.
I've been teaching a class called Emergence, Shift from Ego to Essence, based on a book by Barbara Marx Hubbard. And it's all about shifting our identification from the personal self to the expanded self, or the essential self, or the higher self.
So, okay, all right, so I'm just going to push it one step further. So you get to have two theme songs.
Okay.
So if you had another theme song that I have to. I need to know. Because I know you play some really cool stuff. You're really into Jefferson Airplane, and you're
Yeah.
into Neil
And you
Young.
play the harmonica?
And you play the harmonica.
You were talking about Kusala, and I know
and-
Kusala well,
yes.
and I thought, I could have brought my harmonica too. but-
Darn. Well, next time, because you'll be on again, because we're going to do that whole thing where we do for 90 days. We'll come up with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would do you have another one or no? And if you
Okay,
don't, that's
let's see.
okay. Just you're walking into
You know,
a room.
I'm just gonna tell you my favorite song. my favorite rock and roll song. It's called, what is the name? It's my favorite song. I can never remember the name because the title is not in the lyrics.
It's like
it's by my favorite song. I can't remember who it's by.
Isn't that fun?
Not Crosby, Stills, Nash
Can you
and
sing a
Young,
part of
but
it?
behind them. You better stop, children. What's
What's
that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I like that.
And you know what? As I was saying that, it's my favorite song, and but I hadn't really, when you asked me the question, and I thought about that lyric, what it is to me is it's about look what's going down. It's about awareness. It's about being present in the moment, isn't
Right.
it? If you want, that's how I'm interpreting right now.
Absolutely.
Buffalo Springfield.
Buffalo
that's the band.
Springfield. Yes, that's
But
right.
that's why we have our logo. Part of it is the alarm clock. Wake up.
Wake up.
You're amazing. Wake up.
There
Wake
you
up
go.
to being
amazingness.
amazing.
There you go.
Absolutely. So this is good. So great. Well, we've got that, and so Buffalo Springfield, and all right. Well, we have about 5 minutes, 4 minutes left to talk about anything, and I want to make sure if there's something you're dying to let us know that
Okay.
we haven't, because we could go down so many routes.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's really juicy stuff, and there's
Yeah.
so many things I want to ask you. And even when we get off the air, we're going to lock the door and ask you a couple of
Okay.
questions.
I'll throw out a few things that I'd like people to know about. We talked a little bit in our pre-interview about sweat lodges, and I'm not won't have time to go into a lot about that, but I'll just throw out there, it's one of my favorite things is doing spiritual ceremony. And so, the sweat lodge is known as a Native American ceremony, but it's been a ceremony that's been in some fashion on every continent in the world. And I do them in my backyard, and that's fun. I'm doing a retreat up in Canada called the Primal Fire Spiritual Awakening Intensive. I've been doing this for the last 20 years or so,
Okay.
and I've done it for 7 years now in Canada. I've done it locally as well, but I haven't done it locally recently. But if anyone's interested in that, they could do that. Also,
Where would they go? Living Purpose Institute?
livingpurposeinstitute.com.
livingpurposeinstitute.com.
Can I just say one thing about
Yeah.
the sweat lodges, which I found was very interesting in the pre-interview? You were interviewed by a few news agencies about having a safe sweat lodge, which I thought was, so you really you are the expert urban shaman as far as sweat lodges go.
An
And
expert. Yeah, I was interviewed by Whole Life Times, by Fox News, by Dateline, by a number of different major networks. All when that unfortunate incident happened in Arizona.
Yeah.
But, one message I want to get out to people, and by the way, also I want to put out there what I like to do when I'm doing media is offer that anyone who would goes to the website and calls me or sends me an email. For your listeners, viewers, I will offer a complimentary spiritual life coaching
Wow.
session.
So how should they code that?
That's
right.
great.
So should they say?
Wait, we want more of
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yes. Just say we heard about you on the
Yeah.
Amazing Hour.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And, a
That's
message I want to
wonderful.
leave
Yeah.
people with. There's so many techniques out there for how to create what we want in our life. The law of attraction, affirmation, vision boards, so many different techniques. And the most important one that I have found is almost, again, the opposite of doing. It is, it's non-attachment to outcome. It is recognizing that if we come from a place that everything is perfect just the way it is right now, then what happens is we don't have any anxiety. If I have an attachment to a result, then I have some fear that it's not going to happen. So what happens then is, number one, my attention is going into maintaining or creating what I don't want. Number two is my energy and power is going into it as well. So if I give up any attachment to any outcome, then rather than having only part of my energy available to create what I want, now I have 100% of it. And so that's how I used to think, I found I was good at manifestation, but sometimes it took a lot of work. And I always wondered, what about these people that have this synchronicity? Things happen easily and effortlessly. That's how it happens, is when I am in a place, the more I am in a place of peace, which means non-attachment to outcome, the more power I have to create what I want.
That's great. Very
Wonderful.
What a
Yay.
great note
This
to-
is great. Really good stuff to end on.
Yeah.
I
really
want to
good
make sure we have
stuff.
Julie next week, right? Am I right?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes.
So, so before we close out with some gratitudes and stuff, we want to talk about next week. we're so excited. We have
Julie von Zernick.
Julie von Zernick,
who was she was a soap opera actress.
Oh, she was
on
a soap opera
on
actress.
The Secret Storm.
No. Secret Storm is the name of her book.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's not the soap opera that she was on. The book is called Secret
She was
Storm.
on the soap opera called Storm something. I think it was called The Secret
Oh,
Storm.
okay.
Yeah, it was called The Secret Storm. And her book is called The Secret Storm. So it's
Okay.
both. And she owned one of the top-rated independent bookstores, also the smallest in the San Fernando Valley. And last year she published one of the top-rated independently published. She wrote and published one of the top-rated independently published books. And it is the story, it's a wonderful story of her having to give up her daughter and finding her daughter. It's no secret that she found her daughter.
Yeah, so very compelling story. At the age of 19, she got pregnant, and I have to just say this. So you got to go look this up. She got pregnant, and her parents put her in an institution for the criminally insane and the mentally retarded to carry out her pregnancy. And then at the end of it, literally took the baby, gave it up for adoption, and then just like launched her back in as if nothing had ever happened. So her daughter and later on they found each other, and so she's going to be here to talk about that, to talk about a lot of different things.
And we really are like, we just asked for, because I had read the book and I loved it, and we're just like so honored that here's someone who's been on the Today Show and the Good Morning America
and featured on the OWN network. And so we thought, wow, this is really, we've got the coolest guests. We've got Patrick, and next week we've got Julie, and we're just really, really delighted that we get to bring all these really incredible people and amazing people to you, our listeners. So so we're looking forward to that next week. Again, you can find Patrick at Living Purpose Institute. You can find Patrick on Facebook. You can tweet Patrick. I don't know. Are you a big Twitter person?
I tweet.
You tweet? Yeah, I mean, well, I'm learning the tweet thing.
I tweeted that I was going to be on here.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
okay,
I think
good.
I favorited that. You know, I hope I did. So we've got Julie next week, and so at the end of the show, we really like to say a couple things. We each like to say something that we are grateful for. So Patrick, you get to go first.
I'm grateful for you guys doing what you're doing here on this show. I've been interviewed by lots and lots of people, radio and TV, and usually it's not people who have anywhere near the level of consciousness that you do, and that makes it so much more fun for me. So the fact that you've committed to do this and to bring it out to the world, I'm in gratitude for that, and also in gratitude that my lovely wife is here in the studio with us.
Yes. We're happy that you're here
thank
too.
you.
Well, I'm grateful for. I'm just going to out myself. Patrick actually is my coach, so I'm really, really grateful that you're here and that I've done some significant progress. And I love myself no matter what, and I do. So I'm really, really grateful that I've had the opportunity to work with you and then have you be here as a guest, because when you find something you love, you want everyone to know about it.
That's right.
You want to share it. So so thank you for being here, and thank you for being my mentor.
My joy.
Yay. And Sabrina?
I'm just grateful that I have the opportunities to do what I want to do, such as this radio show. Because it's like, I think today Joanne got so many emails, because I just kind of go, well, let's see, who can I think of that would be like really wonderful to talk to and really get to know? And we thought of you. We think of whoever is on the show, we really want to know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it's such a gift to have like a private interview that thousands of people watch. I mean, it's just like such a gift because we can share it. And I just am like blown away with gratitude for this opportunity. I love UBN Radio. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful family.
Yeah, this is a great home. So if you have an inkling to do your own radio show, come talk to us, and we'll tell you what to do and introduce you to the right people, because this is a blast down here. So having said that, we're super, super grateful that you're here. You can find us on Twitter, The Amazing Hour. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us individually on Twitter and on Facebook.
Twitter is you, like the letter
Well,
U?
Twitter's just The Amazing Hour.
Oh, it's just The Amazing
Hour. You find, at The Amazing Hour.
Right.
And then, you are amazing at The Amazing Hour. Right.
Yes.
So you can find us there. And you can go to theamazinghourradioshow.com. That's really long, but it's the only thing that worked. And then you can go to YouTube. And we have a whole channel on YouTube where you can watch all of our videos and go back, especially tonight. Go back and watch this. I promise I'll post it tomorrow. Get out a pen and take notes because there was a really good juicy nuggets in here that are definitely life-changing.
And come back next week for another wonderful show. And just
That's it. All right.
Yeah.
Good night.
Thank you.
I love you all.
Love you. Yes.
I am amazing.